Before we begin, if you are someone who studies history not as entertainment but as instruction, subscribe to Atten Recounts. This channel exists to preserve knowledge that civilizations once treated as essential, not optional. What we are covering today is one of those subjects. Ancient people did not speculate about survival. They tested it, refined it, and enforced it through law, religion, and empire. For thousands of years, the world's greatest civilizations did not rely on luck to survive famine, war, drought, or collapse. They relied on food that could not betray them with time. From Egyptian pharaohs to Mesopotamian kings, from Roman generals to Mayan priesthoods, ancient societies independently identified the same truth. Certain foods resist decay so effectively that they can outlast entire civilizations. That knowledge built empires, and losing it has made modern societies far more fragile than we like to admit. Ancient food stockpiling was a matter of state survival, not household convenience. When archaeologists find honey still edible in Egyptian tombs, or uncover Roman salt stores unchanged after 2 millennia, they are not discovering accidents. They are finding evidence of deliberate policy. Food that could survive time meant stable taxation, reliable armies, and cities that could endure failed harvests. Ancient states stockpiled food the way modern governments stockpile fuel or weapons. Grain, salt, oils, and preserved proteins were strategic assets. These were not random pantry items. Each food was selected because it defeated one or more causes of spoilage. Some eliminated moisture. Others altered acidity. Some created environments hostile to bacteria at the molecular level. Ancient people did not use chemical terminology, but they understood outcomes with deadly accuracy. Low-moisture foods, really formed the backbone of ancient food security. Across civilizations, dried grains and legumes appear without exception. White rice in Asia, wheat and barley in Mesopotamia and Rome, maize and beans in Mesoamerica, and lentils throughout the ancient Near East all share the same property. When properly dried, bacteria just cannot function. Roman granaries were engineered with airflow systems to keep grain dry. In China, rice was sealed in ceramic vessels to block humidity and insects. This knowledge, it applies directly today. Grain stored dry, airtight, and protected from oxygen can remain edible for decades without refrigeration. This is not theory. It is a replication of ancient practice using modern containers. Salt, sugar, and acids were preservation weapons long before chemistry existed. Salt was not seasoning, it was microbial control. Mesopotamian empires taxed salt because salted meat and fish allowed cities to survive sieges and armies to march indefinitely. Sugar and honey function similarly. Honey's low water content and natural antimicrobial compounds create an environment where bacteria simply cannot survive. That is why honey found in tombs remains edible thousands of years later. Vinegar played the same role through acidity. Roman soldiers carried vinegar-based drinks because acidic environments suppressed pathogens. Vegetables and meats preserved in vinegar could last for years. The practical lesson is simple, really. Acidity is preservation. Pickling remains one of the most reliable non-electric storage methods ever developed. Fermentation allowed ancient societies to control decay instead of fighting it. Cheese, soy sauce, miso, and fermented fish sources appear in civilizations separated by oceans because, well, fermentation solves a universal problem. Beneficial microbes crowd out dangerous ones. Hard cheeses, aged for years, powered Roman legions and medieval Europe. Soy sauce in East Asia preserved protein indefinitely, while, enhancing nutrition. Learning controlled fermentation today is not an aesthetic choice. It is a return to a system that worked without refrigeration, supply chains, or electricity. Stable fats were guarded because they meant, survival energy. Ghee in India, olive oil in the Mediterranean, rendered animal fats in colder regions. All of these have one thing in common. When they're purified and stored correctly, they resist spoilage for years. Fat provided dense calories, especially when crops failed and winters just dragged on. That's why oil storage jars were sealed, kept in the shade, and quite often even buried. These days, the modern application is really not so different. We store stable fats away from heat, light and oxygen, just as ancient people did. Dried and concentrated foods, allowed mobility and endurance. Pemmican among indigenous North Americans, dried meats in Central Asia, cocoa powder and molasses in Mesoamerica all served the same purpose. They condensed nutrition into stable, portable forms. Armies, traders and migrating populations survived because their food did not rot when movement was required. The lesson here, really, is that durability matters more than taste when survival is the objective. Why this ancient knowledge still matters now? Ancient civilizations assumed disruption as a certainty. Droughts, wars and collapses were expected. Our modern systems, on the other hand, assume uninterrupted logistics. That difference alone explains why ancient food strategies remain relevant. This is not about panic or fantasy. It is about using knowledge that sustained humanity through ice ages, plagues, and empire collapses. These 20 foods were not immortal by accident. They were chosen because they worked every time. If you value historically tested knowledge over modern assumptions, subscribe to Atten Recounts, share this with fellow historians and survival-minded thinkers, and, keep this information alive. Civilizations do not fall because they forget how to innovate. They fall because they forget what already worked.